Hello, everyone, and welcome to Revit Red Flags. Avoid these top 10 mistakes. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Sandra Volgemuth, our applications specialist. At today's sessions, we'll highlight common pitfalls and red flags encountered by users and provide practical strategies to avoid them. As usual, you can ask a question on the left-hand corner. You can ask Sandra to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time, and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will find links to our social media, website, and YouTube channel. You can find all of our webinars there at the end, and so you can share with colleagues or watch it on your own time. And you will also get the on-demand recording tomorrow. I believe it's 24 hours after the webinar. So you also have there the registration page. So you register for all of our webinars, and even if you cannot make it, we highly suggest you to register so you can get the on-demand recording. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Juliana. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. And hi, everybody. Welcome to my webinar called Revit Red Flags. Avoid these top 10 mistakes. Let me give you a little bit of an introduction about myself. My name is Sandra Volgemuth. I am an application specialist with MicroCAD. I have been involved in the Revit world since the year 2005. I am also a authorized Autodesk instructor, and I have my professional certification for Revit architecture and Revit mechanical. I have been dealing with this Revit industry ever since. I do a lot of training and help in template creation, and I'm trying to bring all that experience today to this webinar. So let's dive straight into it. Just a little bit about myself. I'm very organized, and I like my things very neat and tidy. And this brings me to my first common mistake, or I would not call them mistakes. I'm going to call out through this presentation on the issues that I have found from clients, projects that I have gone through, and things that I figure out and that I feel are ideal. I didn't mention to you, I was a BIMCAD manager for an MEP firm for 7 years. And I was very detail-oriented into organizing my office standards and getting Revit to work properly for my company. And much of that experience I brought back into AutoCAD, into MicroCAD. And again, this is what I want to share today. So the first and foremost thing that I have a pet peeve about is naming conventions. As you can see here in my presentation, I have seen a lot of project browsers that have this situation here, where you see a level 1 and level 1 copy 1 and level 1 copy 1 of copy 1. And it really takes away on your productivity when you are not very neat and tidy and organized. The minute, and that's the way I teach it to all my students, the minute you duplicate a view, however way you duplicate that view, please give it a name. You always have to keep in mind that somebody else is going to open that project, and that view needs to tell them what it is, what it's represented in that view. The next thing that I have a big issue with in naming conventions is the naming conventions for text items. I like the two text items that are exemplified here. This is something that every Autodesk template brings with it, that scheduled default text type. I always go in whenever I'm creating templates or helping a client to create their template. I always go in and rename that text type, just because, again, when you call something schedule default, you're not giving them the information that they need. They will have to do at least 3 clicks to figure out. They will need to select it. They will need to go into the type properties, and then from there read the size and the font. So naming conventions, again, from the first level, they should tell you what they are. Another thing that I would like, or I am very adamant about, is that you add the Revit release, the year of the release of the project, in which the project was created, that you add it to your naming convention. The reason why is, yes, I know that the minute you select the project out of the Revit open command, Revit will tell you in what release of the software that project was saved. But if you opened up the wrong release, then you will need to close Revit in that release and go to the other release if you don't want to upgrade the model. And again, we're talking about being productive and making your time be worth it. The same thing, the next thing that I want to mention is when you produce PDFs, to keep track of the deliverables that you send to your clients. I would always start with the date, putting it in international numbers. I know we are in America, but I like the international naming convention of the date, just because then it allows Windows to organize those folders and those files for you. And it gives you a very good point of conversation with your clients regarding on when the last project was delivered. So this is my first point regarding naming conventions. This will help you be more productive, and it will give you a better, as I said, a better point of conversation with your client. It will allow other people also, keeping standardized naming convention will allow other people to get into your project and continue working without that many explanations. My next big point is pretending to work without a well-organized template. To me, once I finish teaching the fundamentals, I always like my clients to go experiment a little bit with Revit, but right away to turn around and ask our help, and together we can create and help you create a template that works for your company. Here you have a beautiful example how a good template looks like. Notice that the project browser is very simple in terms of the views. For me, a good template file must have families that work for your workflow, meaning that they look the way your standards demand that they should look, and that they fulfill your schedule needs. My next point, and that is why I brought the screenshot here, a project browser that is simple to understand and easy to use. Try to avoid project browsers that contain a myriad of views and a myriad of repeated views and a whole bunch of different nodes, where it becomes very, very confusing. And then set your views up, set your system families. The other thing regarding template files, keep your template files as template files in a safe location. They should never be used as live projects. I have seen this, I have experimented. The downfall of a very bad habit, which is having a template file, so-called template file, not really a template file, because what people have a tendency of doing, and I'm like, please don't do that, is have a file where they erase the modeled elements and they reuse that file. And I know that comes a little bit from your AutoCAD background. Also in AutoCAD, that is a very, very, very bad habit. I'm slow talking. I want this point to really pull through. You don't know how much junk that file starts gathering. And then, I mean, you all know Revit creates huge, huge project files. So you don't want to add to those project files by having residual things that you don't want to live with, right? And then this last point, designate in your, if you don't have a BIMCAD manager, a person that does just that, organizing your BIMCAD department, you need to designate one or maximum two people that are like the guardians and the developers of a template. Templates are not static elements. Templates have to grow. The more your workflows improve, the more your template has to improve. That means that there's got to be one or two people that go into that template and make the improvements of that template. Everybody having access to improve that template file is the same as too many cooks in the kitchen. It sours the soup. Okay, so just keep a organized team so that that template file will continue producing every time better projects, faster projects, more productivity for you, more income. That is the end of the game for us. Um, the next pet peeve of mine, do not explode CAD files in an active Revit project. That is a big no-no. And the big no-no is because you will start getting all these layers. And I mean, this is a simple file that got exploded. So I keep preaching, and we keep preaching that yes, you can do and bring CAD files into Revit, especially your legacy details. Do that in a separate project. Then grab that detail, bring it into a drafting view, explode it, turn it into Revit elements, purge that file, purge it, clean it up from all these legacy layers and styles that it will bring in from your CAD file. And then through the insert from file command, you can bring those drafting views and still leverage and take advantage of all those typical details that you must have developed through all the years that you have been working in your industry. So it's not that I'm saying you cannot use them. I'm just telling you where to exactly use them. Just again, I repeat myself. Please, for all that you're worth, don't explode those files within an active Revit model. My next point is not understanding Revit's capabilities. So you gotta be aware what Revit can do and what Revit cannot do. Um, there have been situations where we start helping a client that has been working with AutoCAD for eons and eons, and they want to move over into Revit, and they want to keep their standards exactly the same way as they were in AutoCAD. And there's a lot of things that are going to remain the same, and your standards are going to be maintained. There are things that, yes, we can find the workaround, but as all workarounds go, it's a workaround. It's not native Revit. It will be going a little bit against its nature. I don't know if you have heard people that are learning a new language and they start using the new language's vocabulary, but their native language grammar, and it sounds very odd, very weird, not very understandable. That's the same as happens with that transit from Revit in CAD. So um, things that you might have had in CAD like that your view scale is on the right side of the view title. Don't ask Revit to do that. It ain't gonna do it. I mean, yeah, we can break our brains and find the workarounds, and you can go all over the universe and in YouTube and find people that have created a view title that does that. And it will be a workaround, and it will be at least 5, 6 extra clicks, and clicks take time, and time is money. Ceiling grids, there's people that want to see the acoustic ceiling tile grids in floor plan views. Don't, it ain't gonna happen. Yes, there is a workaround to do this. I had worked for a company where we did that, and believe you me, it was a pain in the you know who, and it was a workaround, and it was a whole bunch of extra clicks. Don't. Um, Trying to create combination tags like view tag information within a room tag family. They don't mix and match. Find a different workflow. Adapt. Then use drafting views for details. Use legends for legends. Keep things clear and separate. They are not the same. They don't have the same functionality. So try to avoid trying to make Revit do those things. Remember, detail views are views that are oriented to be created for specific details in a specific project. Drafting views are being done to create typical details. Don't confuse between them. Why? Because drafting views they can transfer from one project to the other, whereas detail views they cannot. They're project specific. So be aware of those limitations, and then you're going to be successful and you're happy Reviteering. And then going back and forth between Revit and CAD, and this I have to explain what I'm talking about. It is all right to start a project in CAD for whatever reasons, and then bring that CAD file as an underlay and continue modeling and set the model in Revit. That project that started in CAD, the minute that it moved over to Revit, that CAD file has to become stagnant and they cannot evolve any further, because continuing to develop that design in CAD so that some Revit modeler can catch up is double work. And again, double work is a waste of time. So that is what I mean of going back and forth between Revit and CAD. We will always have a happy togetherness between Revit and CAD, but make it into a happy togetherness. Don't break the happy link between them. There are things that can be developed in CAD. There are things that have to be developed in the Revit model. The more we move into the Revit model, the better you're off, the more you're going to save time. My next point, over modeling. We are not playing, even though we have a 3D modeler, and I know that many people, when they go into this 3D realm, they get very enthused about what they can do with the project, and then they want to over model this. I didn't bring the image up today, but I was faced with something like that yesterday with some clients of mine. They were dealing with a lighting fixture that was definitely over modeled. It had everything that it's going to have when you build it. That doesn't mean that you need to create all that geometry in the actual family. Keep it simple. Again, I have to mention, Revit models are by nature heavy dudes. You don't want to add to that heaviness. And then on the flip side to the over modeling, we have the under modeling. This situation where somebody created some lines, but if you look into the 3D model, the stairs are not there. It's like, why? When I see stuff like that, I'm like, no, That is why we have 3D elements, and that is why we are modeling in this beautiful database called Revit. So keep things in their proper location. Wherever you need lines, then use lines. But wherever there is a 3D element to be placed, use the 3D element. This brings me to my next point. Um, Grabbing families from the web. And I keep being faced with that. Yes, there's plenty of times that you need to um, bring in a family from a manufacturer, and then you have to deal with whatever that family is doing. Try to get families from known sources. Ask us, we can help you create your families. Um, Not everything that you find in the web is well created or is as intelligent as you can find. And then some families, they are done uh, very complex, and then they become very difficult to manipulate. Um, Using dumb tags or dumb schedules, as I put it there, and it's like, to me, that is just don't. I mean, it's um, grabbing a software that is incredibly smart, that is there to help you, and dumbing it down. And when I talk about dumb tags, I mean annotation symbols, generic annotations that play the role of a tag. And then you fill in the information as you would do with attributes in a block and can. And then you are codifying Revit, whereas you could pick up that information directly from the family that you're wanting to tag if you had a real Revit tag. It's the same as using them schedules. Revit, I mean, the biggest strength of Revit is that it can schedule your modeled elements and it can keep track of them. Why not use them? Right? They are there to help you. Learn schedules. I know that there is a bit of a learning curve. Let us help you here in Microcad. We're here to aid you in the creation of all these elements and understanding how they work and taking you around and guiding you through parameters and shape parameters and project parameters and all that thing that when you first come into Revit might sound a little bit confusing. That is what we're here for. Okay, but don't shy away from getting the knowledge by dumbing it down and then using text instead of tags. Again, why? Why? It will create more work. It might sound simpler at the beginning because it's more to what you're used to. Learn the capabilities of tags and Revit. They're huge. They can save you so much time. And then one of my pet peeves, in place families, use them only and only when you need to create a family that is very specific to the specific project that you're creating. If you think that that family that you're creating as an in-place family could be a family that you want to use in another project, go to the family editor, create a real family. Okay, in-place families, they are very useful, but they're useful for very specific projects, for very specific situations within a specific project, and where they need to be very dependent on the project's geometry. Otherwise, I mean, if you try to take them out to use them into another project, you're going to be creating in another project this slew of problems that you don't even want to know about. Modeling far away from the Revit internal origin will make Revit very unhappy, and you don't want to find an unhappy Revit. So you want to try to keep your model near that Revit 00 location. And it's not, I mean, it says here the super secret visible internal origin, you just need to go to the visibility and graphics dialog box and turn it on, and then you will see it. So Revit gives you a margin. It's like, I think, 10,000 feet, where it will still behave normally. I don't like you to go all the way out 10,000 feet away from the origin. Okay. Work in more than one view and tile them. It will help you conceptualize your design. If you're new to 3D modeling, that will help you see and really understand the 3D dimensionality of the software. And then develop a user's manual for onboarding of new employees, and just as a reference material. Keep it simple. In the simplicity of your user's manual and the simplicity of your project browser, you will be more successful. Coming almost to the end, just if you're trying to get your template, I mean, when you're new to Revit and you want to create a template file, don't go about it by yourself. We are here in AutoCAD and MicroCAD. We're here to help you and to advise you, teach you, guide you, collaborate with you, and do a ton of hand holding until your template is going. Don't try to create your template by yourself on the get-go. You're new to the software. Let us help you. We do understand the fact that Revit template files are very idiosyncratic to a company. They need to be adapted to each company's standards and to each individual company's workflows. Every company works differently. So templates are very individualistic. We kind of immerse ourselves into your company while we're helping you create your template, to understand your company, to understand your standards, to understand your workflows. And we will be there helping you until you're up and running, not only with Revit, but with a template that will improve your workflows. As soon as you can, learn how to create families. It is a skill. It is a very valuable skill. Not only to create your own families, but to understand families that you pick up from the web. And again, let us give you a hand. That is what we're here for. And with this, I end up my presentation, and I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Thank you very much for your attendance today.
Thank you, Sandra, for that wonderful presentation. And the first question we have is, we're new Revit users. After talking the initial training, what is your advice to avoid mistakes in our workflow?
I always advise my students to take the Revit Fundamentals class with us, for me or any of my very capable colleagues, then to go about and start working with Revit for a couple of weeks, and then come back to us and take our more advanced classes. We have a BIM management template and family creation class, very interesting, where we really dive deeper into creating system families and creating component families, and then use our services to help you create your template. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We have another question. Is there a cost associated with tweaking a template?
Well, yeah, we can point you out towards any of our very capable salespeople, and we can figure out what the tweaking is that you need. We have gone through like blocks of hours or individual hours of consultation, depending on what you need. Hi, Dipti.
Yeah, you can contact us and we can get you set up with a sales rep that can further advise you and come up with a good deal. Next question we have is, I think this is quite general, but it says, what's a most efficient way to convert AutoCAD to Revit?
Um, we have a workflow. One of my colleagues, very esteemed colleague, has presented this as a class in Autodesk University. There's a very specific workflow of grabbing a CAD file and, as I said, bringing it into a separate Revit model over there to the side, not onto your working models, and then um, using that CAD file, exploding it, making it into a Revit objects, purging it, and then you can use those drafting views in Revit for as long as you need them and tweak them further on.
Awesome. Next question is, what is the suggestion to keep incoming work flowing while creating a template?
Um, yeah, I suggest to start with the basic out of the box template and work on that while you get the skills and while we develop your Revit template. So, um, I mean, we can get you up and running with a basic template with your title blocks and your basic families in about 2 weeks work worth of time. So in those 2 weeks, you just have to kind of mix and match, and then it just continues developing. What I found in my MEP company was that it took me. I mean, I had my people working in Revit all the time that I was developing the template, and through their feedback, the feedback of the actual modelers and my engineers, I kept improving the template. I would say after the first year, I had something that was approaching to be a awesome template.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Hi, Sandra. What would you suggest once we have a template created and want to upgrade it to a new version? Should we create everything from scratch or just upgrade?
No, just upgrade. Why would you recreate the wheel if you already started it? I mean, and we used to do that in our MEP firm. You know, for MEP people, we have to keep different templates available because we always depended on whatever version the architects were using. So we would upgrade our templates every 2 years. And we had the older templates still available in the older versions in case we get somebody that is using an older version, but don't recreate from scratch. I mean, just upgrade that file, open it in the new version, save as I mentioned at the beginning, put the number of the release at the end of the version, and flow with it.
Thank you. And next question is, we have been working with AutoCAD for a long time. What is your advice regarding maintaining our office standards?
Um, as I mentioned, you want to, I mean, we can translate standards pretty much straightforward. I would say 95% of your standards will be maintained. There are little things that you're used to doing in AutoCAD that maybe are going to be a workaround to do in Revit. So just there are going to be a couple of little things that are going to change between your CAD files and your Revit files. but most of that translation is fairly smooth. We have very good experience in helping you into doing that transition and learning this new language called Revit.
Thank you. And I don't see more questions, but while we get more, if we have, as Sandra mentioned, if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, let us help you. You can take a custom training with Sandra or someone else on our team. And we also offer group classes online. So we highly suggest you to check the Microgap website for future webinars. And you, as I mentioned before, you have the registration link on the right hand. So please check that out. If there's anything you would like to, you're interested in, but you don't know if you can attend or not, just register so you can get the recording. And yeah, I don't know if Sandra wants to say something else or we're missing something. This is our contact information in case you want to contact us based on your region, or you can always contact me down below and we will get you set up.
The
So,
only thing that I have to say is thank you everybody for attending. Thank you for your wonderful questions. Big shout out to my friends Dipti and Rima. Good to see you guys. And
yeah,
thank you for attending the webinar today.
thank you, Sandra, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye.